What's up everybody, another beautiful day on the Dragonflight beta, and we're back with some more raid guides and previews. Today we're taking a look at heroic Sennarth, the Cold Breath, in the new raid Vault of the Incarnates. Now this is beta testing, so a lot of things can change, be added or well scrapped altogether. Like a dent in ice, Sennarth, the Cold Breath brings you two phases with an intermission-ish. So throughout the fight the boss will start to ascend her spiraling lair, stopping at each platform to play out phase 1 some more, before reaching her final platform, which triggers phase 2. Now during phase 1, boss will cast Breath of Ice, which targets a few players' location and spawns icy ground underneath, which deals damage if you stand in it, and players also slide around on it, so you can finally ice skate while raiding. Every now and then, everyone in the raid gets targeted by Chilling Blast, which deals a bit of damage every second for 4 seconds, and upon expiration deals a ton of damage in a 4-yard area. Just spread for it. The Cold Breath will also target a few players in the raid with enveloping webs, which causes them to drop a sticky gray liquid on the ground as they walk. Let's call it a sticky webbing. Now, these sticky webbings provide resistance to displacement and sliding, aka you skate a little bit less along the ice paths and get knocked back a little bit less. It also reduces movement speed and is stacks. However, at 5 stacks you become wrapped in webs and you can't do for 30 seconds, or until a spiderling erupts all over your cocoon, which we will touch on soon. Now to top this off, boss will also cast Gossamer Burst. Targets everyone in the raid, deals a bit of damage and pulls everyone in towards her rapidly. It's very easy to get dragged off the edge here unless you dip your toes into that sticky goo, because standing in a web makes you immune to the Gossamer Grip. Just be careful so you don't get 5 stacks of it. Worst case, you can also max range the boss and run against it, or use displacement abilities, things like disengage, or just run! Now like I mentioned earlier, there's spiderlings, caustic spiderlings, which on death these will do a caustic eruption, dealing a bit of nature damage within 5 yards, but also removes sticky webbings from the ground. And on top of this, it also frees web-wrapped players, so if someone gets that sweet 30-second stun, all you need to do is kill an ad on top of them and further emphasize their shame. And then there's the Frost Breath Arachnid, which uses Freezing Breath, targets a random player and then fires off a frontal snow cone, which deals some damage but creates more icy, slippery patches where it hits. So this one can, or well needs to be baited by the raid if you want controlled ice patches, aka not all over the place like an ice skating rink. And on top of this, these frosty drakes also have a chilling aura, which deals raid-wide damage and increases its frost damage done by 25% per stack. So eventually this will become one big spider. I think we were up at like 400% while testing one of the times. So let's tie all of this together a bit so it makes sense. On pull, you'll have one big frost dragon plus a couple of caustic spiderlings. You need to nuke down the frost ad fast to avoid chilling aura getting out of control, and you can just cleave down the caustic spiderlings as needed. They don't do too much. Now you can bait both the frost dragon's cone as well as the boss Breath of Ice puddles if you need more controlled ice patches. And players targeted by sticky webbings drop patches in front of boss and some around the room, so players can use these for the Gossamer Burst grip. And you'll get tons of spiderlings spawning all of the time, so some of these webs will be cleared by them when they die randomly. And if someone does get webbed, you can drag one of them on top of the cocoon and burst it there. Now a bit into the fight, the boss will start ascending, slowly moving up the lair, or retracting. And while she does this, she will still cast Gossamer Burst, so you need to either have some webs dropped beforehand up the stairs, or position yourself so you get gripped into one of the pillars or corners near the ledge, or use displacement abilities again. There's lots of counterplay, but you actually have to counterplay it. She will also use Chilling Blast during her ascension, so spread. Now once she's reached a new platform, phase 1 restarts, or well continues, you'll get a new frost dragon spawn, more swarms of spiderlings, and yeah, it's kinda rinse repeat from there on out, until the 4th, or well the final platform, on which phase 2 starts. So in phase 2, the entire platform is pretty much covered in slippery ice, twice. Boss will still cast Chilling Blast. However, upon expiration, you will also leave a Glacial Plume on the ground, which deals damage and knocks players back, and this plume stays there until someone runs into it or the fight ends. Now, during testing, you could immune soak it, so Cloak of Shadows, etc. However, this just means you want to spread properly and be smart with the space, as there's other mechanics that'll knock you around, potentially into a plume. Speaking of, sticky webs have been improved and is now suffocating as well, so a suffocatingly sticky web. Gotcha! Players targeted by this gets an arrow above their head and a few seconds later gets knocked back a bit and then instantly cocooned, so you will have to use a spiderling to get him out of this, unless you want to tell them to just sit in it for 30 seconds. I mean, it's okay if it's a Fury Warrior during cooldowns, just because it'd be hilarious to hear them scream, "Get me out! Get me out! My coolies!" But yeah, you have to get a spiderling on the cocoon to break them out, so you'll most likely have a designated area for these to get knocked towards, so you can always line up and have ads ready to go there. And it could target tanks while testing, so get them cocooned in melee and you'll most likely be able to get a spiderling in there as well pretty damn fast. Now on top of this, Gossamer Burst is now reversed into Repelling Burst. Knocks players away instead, and either off the platform or potentially into a Glacial Plume, and then off the platform. Now you can use Spiderwebs here again to immune this, or position yourself so you just don't get knocked off or into something. The boss will also deal ever increasing frost damage during this phase, so it's just an all-out burn really, before it gets too cold. So this fight is pretty much focused down ads, cleave boss, whenever frost ad is down, nuke boss, and get her as low as possible before phase 2 and then nuke away. All in all, I love these types of fights, lots of hectic ad cleave, lots of fun mechanics, and a changing environment. Sure, you're still in the same room or lair, but the fact that the boss climbs up or retracts up and you chase her along the rickety stairs adds a lot to the fight and the feel of the encounter, and it's usually a ton of fun to progress on fights like this because they become, well, they're not static at all. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the Cold Breath on Heroic. If they make major changes to the fight and we get to test it again, I'll revisit this, otherwise I'll drop an updated guide once the raid goes live. Let me know in the comments what you think about the fight, and don't forget the usual stuff, like, comment, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. It really helps me out. I stream progression and raid testing on Twitch, usually Thursdays and Sundays, and whenever there's raid testing announced. Make sure to check out my Patreon if you want to help support me, my work, and my goal of upgrading my computer before Dragonflight. You also get access to the Stankie Discord, where you can get help with anything raiding related, and it is the fastest way to get a hold of me. Plus there's a ton of awesome people to help you out during progression. Speaking of awesome people, make sure to check out the Liquid Women in Warcraft Discord for a supportive and safe Warcraft community. We need more of those. I'll leave a link in the description below. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time.